Devi Gurvani Pracharine Nivasesha Samyavadi Paschatya Satharine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gurvani Pracharine Nirvishesha Samyavadi Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Oh, Premanandi, Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna. Jnana Timrandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Yena Tasmai Shri Guru Shri Chaitanya Manojishtam Yena Bhutale Dati Svabhakante Kam Shri Guru Shri Prabhupada Guru Vaishnavascha Rupam Sarvajatam Bhagana Bhaganatam Vitam Sajivam Sadhaitam Sadhutam Parijanaitam Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Bhagavanita Shri Visakam Vitamsya Krishna Karuna Sindhu Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopikakanta Antanamostate Tatakanchana Gaurangi Vrindavaneshwari Krishna Namaste Devi Pranamami Hare Priye Panchakalpata Rudesha Sindhu Vedavasha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Who are you coordinating? What would you like me to do and for how long? Holidays? Oh, holy names. I said holidays. Speak on holidays. Holy name. Okay, and until? 7:30. We can take questions anytime, because questions always open up our thoughts, and we start questioning, and we start to sharpen our intelligence and our understanding. Sometimes when we just try to hear the mind, it doesn't always focus. Usually questions and answers are usually quite captivating, we can say. Well, Pavan has asked me to speak a little bit on the holy name. Well, all of you I'm amazed how enthusiastic you are, and all students. When I first came to Delhi, first time in Delhi was in 1976, and I didn't come before that. We were in England, and when we came to Delhi, it was one small temple in Bengali market, Todar Mal Lane. Now you may not have heard of it. Delhi is a big city, but maybe Bengali market, still called Bengali market, I don't know. Maybe they changed the name. Very small temple. Barely 12, 15 people could get in the temple room. Very small. And there was hardly anywhere to stay. One small room, as far as I remember. Extremely, so many changes have taken place and hardly any Indian devotee was involved in ISKCON at least. And now we see so many blossoming flowers all over India of young men, students, graduates, educated professionals, taking up Krishna consciousness, which you all know is not a Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was a very, everybody's heard, I think, of Lord Chaitanya. Yes? Lord Chaitanya, the most merciful incarnation of Godhead, Namo Mahavadanyaya, Krishna Prema Padayate, that he's appeared to give, literally give, love of God. It's not a cheap thing. And Lord Chaitanya is giving. He's giving it in a process, giving us the medicine which will awaken love of God if we take the medicine according to the prescription. So Lord Chaitanya is very mercifully has given us this opportunity, and now all over the world, and in India especially. And the beauty is that in the beginning of the Hare Krishna movement, everybody thought, when I say the beginning, there is no beginning, but in the West, not in India, of course, it's been there always, but in the West, practically this movement started in around about 50 to 60 years ago in the Western world. And everybody thought that Hare Krishna meant shaved head and dhoti and what have you. But it's not. Krishna consciousness, it's a state of consciousness. Everything we do in life, you could say, is through our consciousness. According to the state of our consciousness, we interact with the material world around us. And then Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he was discussing how to attain the perfection of life, and with one of his most closest associates, his name was Ramananda Roy. Ramananda Roy was a very intelligent, he was a leader, he was a governor in the government of King Prataparudra. So Ramananda Roy was a governor for the southern states, which included much of Andhra Pradesh and even Tamil Nadu parts. And he was governor. So a big post, intelligent man. But he was a great devotee, Krishna. So when they were discussing, Lord Chaitanya was asking him questions. And Ramananda Roy was answering. But Lord Chaitanya asked the question, how to attain life's perfection, but all the answers were not quite satisfying. And eventually Ramananda Roy quoted a verse from the book Srimad Bhagavatam, Gyane Prayasmudra Pastamanta Evan, so on, that one attains perfection. You stay in your situation you're in, if you want to. You stay in that situation, and you hear and chant about Krishna, giving up all speculation, etc. One hears from the right source, it's called Nivritta Trishna Bhagyamanad, from the right source, those who are pure. We hear that topic about Krishna, and this purifies our hearts. It awakens within us. It's a positive process. It awakens within us our attraction towards Krishna. And he said, you stay where you are, Gita. Stay where you are, don't move. Yada deki tarakara Krishna. Amara Guru Desh. Lord Chaitanya also instructed another Brahmin, kind of in South India, Kurmakshetra. He instructed him there, you stay where you are. You study Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam. He was a married man. And you teach that to others. So Lord Chaitanya did this. And of course, we do get some, like some of us here today who are, we call brahmacharis or sannyasis or something, but the vast majority of devotees are not. And that's all Prabhupada's case. Well, it wasn't in the beginning of the Hare Krishna movement in the West, but it is now. And that's how Prabhupada and how Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Lord Chaitanya wanted to spread Krishna consciousness to everybody. Wherever you are, you can stay at home and chant Hare Krishna. You can work and chant Hare Krishna. You can do anything and chant Hare Krishna. Chanting Hare Krishna it's easy. It's not difficult. We may have some objections, but it's actually easy. Other forms of yoga are not so easy. You have to be in the right place. Krishna explains in Bhagavad Gita. You've all read or see, at least you have come across the Bhagavad Gita. And Krishna explains the process of Ashtanga Yoga. It's quite austere. He also presents Jnana Yoga, and that takes a lot of intellectual analysis to understand. And other kinds of Karma Yoga and this and that, all of which are, let's say, not really, in themselves, they're not really reaching the objective goal of yoga. They may be stepping stones or ladder towards the perfection of yoga, which is to link. The word yoga means to link. To link with who? To link with the Supreme Yogeshwar, the master of all yogas, Krishna. That's real yoga. So Bhakti Yoga, which is what we're trying to practice in our lives, Bhakti Yoga literally means the connection with Krishna through service. So we try to serve Krishna. And this age, which we're in, which is, as you know, it's a materialistic age, and the primary method of connecting from Vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtanam with Krishna is through chanting his holy names. This chanting of the holy name is not an ordinary activity. It's not like another pious activity or some kind of mantra meant to release us of our suffering, although it may do that. Iti Shodha Sukam Namam Kali Kausha Nashra. But it counteracts the ill effects of Kali Yuga. It removes the karmic reactions of the living entities. But that's not the real purpose of chanting. That's just a relative effect. The real purpose or the real objective is it actually awakens. The chanting of the holy name awakens our love for Krishna. We may not have much love for Krishna. We may not be chanting much. Some of you are, some of you aren't. But this is the process. Just like in the morning, we may go to bed at night. Maybe in the morning we have an alarm clock. We set our alarm clock. What time do you set your clocks to? Your alarm clock. What time? 9 o'clock? 10 o'clock? What time? Huh? 6?
3:30 in the morning.
Oh, fanatics. Fanatics. 3:30 in the morning. We're just going to bed at that time. When I was a student, we would go to bed at 2, 3, 4, 5. Not very pious students. We were going to parties and what have you, very late, and wasting our time. 3:30, you set your alarm clock, ding, 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 or whatever it does. And you wake up by sound. Is that Lord Shiva? What's going on? Playing Lord Shiva's drum. So we used to go like that. This sound wakes you up. So the chanting of the holy name, it's a wake up. Wake up means we're asleep. We have a very lovely song, of course. Jeev Jabo, Jeev Jabo, Ora Chandra Bole, Kotanitra Jaya Maya, Isha Chira. Wake up, sleeping souls. Not just wake up from your night sleep, but we're sleeping in the lap of illusion or lap of Maya. We're all thinking we're this body. We're all thinking we're in here, this room, mostly Indian, or we're students, or we're men, or whatever it is. We're thinking like that. This is number one illusion. To think I'm the body. But most of the world identifies with what they're not. And even on the religious platform, we think we're Hindu or Christian or Muslim, Buddhist or atheist or something. We're none of those things. We're not men, we're not women, we're not Indian or American or English, we're not students or teachers or whatever, farmers. Temporarily it may be that it appears that the body and mind is engaged in that way. But that's not us. Chanting Hare Krishna helps us to realize our true identity. It'd be a pretty good idea to find out who we are. Generally, a person who doesn't know who they are is called a madman. Unless you've got Alzheimer's or something. Dementia. You may forget who you are. But generally, if a person, you ask them, excuse me, who are you? And they say they don't know. They're generally considered something's wrong with them. A bit crazy or something. They don't even know who they are. Well, nobody knows in this material world who they are. They think that the body, which is a dress of the soul, like we have our dress, which covers our body, material body, and similarly, the subtle mind covering the soul. It's just a dress. This body is just like a dress, covering the subtle body, in one sense. Well, the subtle body pervades the gross body. But then both the bodies, you could say, cover the soul. So this is our conditioning. And we identify with the body. We don't identify with the soul. According to the type of body which we have and the type of mind we have, we identify with that. And we're very busy in trying to enjoy it. So chanting Hare Krishna helps us to become a little free of that mentality, foolish mentality. People are so enamored, captivated by this material world and the objects, all the subtle ones in our thoughts. We're captivated. But chanting Hare Krishna helps us to transcend, to rise above that. There's much more to life than just a bodily endeavor or mental exercise. There's a spiritual relationship. Yoga means linking with Krishna through devotion. It's joyful. Krishna says, Pasyanti cha, ramanti cha. It is everlasting and joyfully performed. One time, one challenge came. It's a bit of a gross challenge, you could say. But a man was claiming that sex life is much more satisfying than chanting Hare Krishna. So Prabhupada challenged him. He said, okay, let's see how satisfying your sex life is. You come on the stage and enjoy your sex life, and we'll chant Hare Krishna. Of course, he didn't do it. But even if he'd done it, how long can you enjoy it? How long is that pleasure? It lasts a short while and it's finished. Maybe you feel tired out or something, I don't know. But it lasts a short while, not long. Or you say some other thing, but these are all temporary relief, temporary, trying to satisfy our senses, but it's only a temporary result. Chanting Hare Krishna is everlasting and ever joyful. Now, if you want to become sometimes devoted, one devotee asked Srila Prabhupada, how do we become, I was reading this afternoon, Vrindavan means the place where everyone's mad for Krishna. So how do you become mad for chanting? Krishna Namachintamani Krishna's Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha. The name is Krishna, it's not the name of Krishna. You could say that, but that's not really true. It actually is Krishna himself. He's the source of all energies. And he's empowered in this name, Pinatvannamanamno. He's fully present in the name. All of his potencies are there in the sound of the holy name. You know, what's that verse? Forgotten. In the Sikshastakam, the second prayer, what is it? Nam Namakari Bahuta Nija Sarva Shakti. All Krishna's fully present. We're not fully present, but he is. The reason we don't realize he's with us is we're somewhere else. We're thinking of something else. We are still carrying attachment. So it's like we look at the deity, we see something, but we don't see the real full manifestation of Krishna. According to our conditioning, our coverings of our consciousness, we see accordingly. So the same thing when we chant Hare Krishna. Our mind is full of other thoughts. We're not totally connected to Krishna. Some little bit there, but not. Therefore we get a little bit, a little taste, a little tiny glimmer of light shines in, but not enough, not much, not the full nectar for which we're always anxious. And Lord Chaitanya says, we don't taste that full nectar because we're still committing offenses. Offenses are manifold. They do include being attached. It doesn't mean no material desire. Material desires will always come in our mind. As long as one is in this material frame, material desires will come. Not all the time, but they will come sometimes. Maybe more than others. They will come, but the offense is to be attached to them. So we're attached to them. You know, one of your great acharyas named Yamunacharya said, whenever the thought of sex life enters my mind, I spit at the thought. Not at the sex, but at the thought of enjoying sex life. Every young man and woman has this natural inclination. It's a normal thing, don't get panicky. It's something one goes through, and generally one gets married and deals with it in that way, and some few, very few, may choose otherwise. And as one grows older, if we follow the God-given system for family life and what have you, and then gradually as we get older, the urge generally desists, it generally reduces. And if we chant Hare Krishna, the heart will be not just become free of sinful reaction, not just even become free of perhaps doing that activity, but freed of the actual cause itself. And the cause itself is we're seeing ourselves separate from Krishna. This is the underlying problem. We're seeing things separately from Krishna. Whereas actual knowledge means to see everything in relationship with Krishna. No matter what it is, everything has a relationship with Krishna. So Krishna's appeared in this age, Kalikalar Namarup. Krishna avatar, he's appeared in this age, his avatar, his form in the Kali Namarupa, as the holy name, so that everyone can get this chance. Why? Because we become what we are by association. So Prabhupada gave an example. If you want to become mad for chanting, means actually that's the nature of the spiritual world. Everyone wants to glorify Krishna, serve Krishna, chant about Krishna and so on, hear about Krishna. So if we want to, we can do that in this lifetime. Maybe not 100% right now, but we can do it. And more and more and more, whatever time we may have at our disposal, we try to hear about Krishna. We try to associate with Krishna. So Prabhupada said, if you want to become mad about chanting, he gave an example. And I don't know if any of you have been through this, but he said, how do you become a drunkard? How many of them are drunkards? Anyone here a drunkard? Pavan, are you a drunkard? Are you a drunkard? Is he a drunkard? Did you drink? Never. You don't know what you're missing. I do, because I used to drink. I used to smoke. I used to drink. I used to take all kinds of intoxications. And all the various things that you hear about, which we're not supposed to do if you want to progress, you say, mode of goodness. But we used to do all of them when we were young. We know them all. You were innocent. But how do you become a drunkard? Prabhupada said, he asked the question, how do you become a drunkard? How many times a week? Regularly. By regularly hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam, coming together and regularly hearing together. This is a process of transformation or changing our consciousness away from seeing ourselves in the center to seeing Krishna in the center. So chanting Hare Krishna is not just the Yukadharma, it's not just very joyfully performed, but it satisfies Krishna and it frees us from this false ego of seeing ourselves in the center, helps us to see Krishna in the center of our lives. That's what we're trying to do. It's not a question of, all or nothing. It's try to get every single living entity chanting Hare Krishna somehow or another. The world will change. It will be a wonderful place. If everyone was chanting, everyone dancing and singing, that's the spiritual realm. Dance and sing, simple occupations, very beautiful. So, Hare Krishna. First time I heard this Hare Krishna mantra mentioned the day was in a football stadium, or maybe it was on television. Was it? In 1971, we first heard the Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Bola Bola. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Dong! He entered. That record, that tune, was one of the top-selling records in the world in many countries, believe it or not. It did very nicely, along with the Beatles, helped to produce it with the devotees. And it became popular all over the world. It was featured in a movie, in a stage musical called Hair in London, famous musical. I also saw that. But it was only when I read the philosophy that I realized, and I was convinced to chant. That's what convinced me. I mean, it was one of many things. It didn't really mean anything to me, any more than any other song, mantra, or whatever. I was a little inclined towards India, towards yoga, what have you. We also became vegetarian in my last year at college. But I didn't really have that conviction to take it up in my life. But when I read the philosophy, I started chanting the Maha Mantra. I realized how important this is, how great the holy name is. I was living at home and chanting Hare Krishna. Anyone could do it. So this is the universal benefit of the Yuga Dharma of Kali Yuga. Everyone can chant. Because no one is excluded. The only, let's say, only factor which will exclude us is our own choice. Otherwise, everyone can take part in the Sankirtan and feel the effects. So we're going to open up now for questions on the holy name or anything you'd like to ask, actually, because you may have other questions on your mind. Oh, Krishna. Any questions? Yes, Prabhu. What is your name? What do you say? I didn't hear you.
Shubhajit.
That was your name? Ah. My name is Shobari. Whoops. That was clever. That's very good. I gave it. That was my your question. I perfectly answered your question. You went I went Next question. Huh? Oh, I will. I'll accept them. I know they're very humble.
How can we chant with same spirit and devotion during difficult times? Like
Sure, when?
during difficult times.
Difficult times. Every moment is a difficult time. We sometimes think it's not, but actually, there is difficulty or danger at every step. This material world is full of danger. It's full of challenge. It's full of turmoil and annoyance, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta said. When things get a little less disturbing, we call that nice. We call that, oh, I'm having a good time. But actually, in the material itself, every living entity is suffering under whether we're on heavenlies or the hellish planets, everyone is, because there's birth, death, disease, and old age. Try to understand what is difficulty anyway? What is it? What do you mean by difficulty? What would you give an example? Huh? You have exams coming up, okay. You did pass your exams, okay. And you're not doing well in your studies, okay. What else?
Things are not going as we expect them to.
Or you hope. Let's say you can say expect. I mean, you can't really use that word too much, but you at least as much as you hope. They're not going what you hoped they would. So you were feeling difficulty. So again, I want to give another example. See if it's the same principle. Another difficulty. What other difficulties do you go through? You go through all sorts in this human life. Yeah, one of the members of the family is misbehaving, or you think that they're misbehaving, it disturbs you. What else? Pardon? Health is Health is a kind of, say, probably one of the most real, it's not real in a real sense, but it's closer to real in a sense, because it's not just circumstantial, you know. One person doesn't care less if they're studying or not studying, another does. It's a relative thing. But health, more or less, everybody suffers from. More or less, in a material world. You know? So health, mental health, physical health, okay? What other miseries? There's no end to miseries, don't you realize it? And the only solution to get out of the misery is chanting. So when you're going through difficulty, that's the time when you really have to chant. Not necessarily to get out the difficulty, but not to be controlled by it. Because you're depressed, or you get this horror. It's not nice. You know, how many examples are there? I mean, look at even great personalities, even in the Christian faith, Jesus Christ. Every religion you see, they appear to be suffering. People are criticizing them, even torturing them, arresting them, and they're not disturbed. So otherwise you'll be disturbed or controlled. You know, actually really no difficulty for the soul. For you, there's no real difficulty. When we lose sight of their goal, then we see all the problems. They say, there's a famous saying, obstacles are things you see when you lose sight of the goal. We have to understand, even materially speaking, if you're strong in your goal. I remember there's one famous politician, his name was Abraham Lincoln. Perhaps you've heard that name. American president, one of the early ones. And he was a failure. Most of his life was a failure. But he never gave up. He carried on. Material, completely material. But he succeeded in his goal eventually. He became the president of the United States. Another example is a famous scientist. His name was Stephen Hawking. He got, when he was a student at Cambridge University. But when he was 20 years old, he was diagnosed with MND, if you know what that is. Motor neuron disease. Dreadful disease. You know, your whole system is just basically ruined. And the doctors said he had 1 or 2 years left to live, probably. He lived till he was in his 70s. And he said he was so determined. He said, I concentrated, focused on what I can do, not what I cannot do. Another example. He had so many problems. But he was so, apparently, he was so determined to achieve what he wanted to do in life, even though there were so many problems, obstacles out there. The obstacles are there in Krishna consciousness now, or let's say the difficulties. To help strengthen us, you read in the Bhagavatam. There's a beautiful section, maybe you've not read it. It's the prayers of Queen Kunti. And she's praying to Krishna, may these difficulties happen again and again. And that's a pretty weird prayer, isn't it? Do people pray like that? Oh God, please make me suffer more and more. Make me sicker. Please help me to fail my exams. Please help my family life to become a disaster. People don't pray like that. They pray the opposite, right? Please make me poverty stricken. People don't pray like that. Not very often, if ever. So is she praying? No. She's praying like that because she said, when I'm in a situation, I remember you. Not only I remember you, but you also are there for me. If you take shelter of Krishna, you take shelter of Krishna. You don't need to ask for anything. Just take shelter of Krishna. And you'll see. In those difficulties, you'll feel very satisfied. You're not looking for difficulty comes. We're not trying to make difficulties. They come automatically. But when we experience, when we think it's difficult, we're also in difficulty. Actually, it's more difficult when things are going well in most people's cases. They tend to forget God when things are going well. Most people pray to God when they're suffering. doing really well, you forget him. You think, maybe you don't even think, you just enjoy your so-called karma. But, when we have in distress, read the Bhagavad Gita, what Krishna said. Come and it'll go to tolerate us all. Remember, Krishna tolerate. I know if you no longer well like this, That's the material conditioning involving our, you could say, our intelligence. Use your intelligence, focus it on the teachings of Krishna, chant Hare Krishna, and don't worry, it will go away. When I was doing my final exams, the very week or 2 weeks of my finals, I wasn't studying engineering. It was something slightly related, not totally, but with, say, geography and planning and things. But during the morning, and I wasn't even practicing Hare Krishna at that time. It was before I heard of the Hare Krishnas. And I was, every day, I was not a Christian, but I was convinced in my heart of hearts that Jesus was the Son of God and the representative of God. And I like to read the Bible every morning. A friend of mine had given me the Mahabharata. He was going to India every year. And the Ramayana. And I was reading these books every morning going to my college. And I felt so much better. I wasn't transcendental, but I felt so much better. And all my nervousness went away. And actually when the final exam, I didn't know any of the answers. I